Welcome back to the Citizen channel. Hope you're all staying safe and well. And one of our little features, we call it You Need Hands, we call this one, which features today a player who wasn't with us for too long, usually wore the number 11 shirt for City. I want to talk about a certain Nigel Gleghorn, but you need hands, so must be something to do with something else, mustn't it? But obviously there's not so much these days, of course. We have spare keepers. We usually have two keepers on our bench, don't we, at City, as I'm recording this, most of the time. But so not so much. It doesn't sort of happen much these days. With spare keepers, injuries, sending offs can be sorted like for like, can't they? By pulling off an outfield player and putting on one of your substitute goalkeepers. There are always exceptions, of course. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Mr. Kyle Walker went in goal in a Champions League game, of course, for City. With obviously when Mr. Bravo did something as the substitute keeper, it was a bit stupid, and obviously it ended up we had no keeper, so. A certain Kyle Walker went in and kept a clean sheet, didn't he? So he became a hero. All right. Not the greatest expertise in goal, but he kept a clean sheet, which is more than some goalkeepers have done in the Champions League, that's for sure. So that was against Atlanta, wasn't it? Atlanta, the game. Of course, if a team has used its allocation of subs, say something goes wrong, if obviously you could bring a keeper on for something, and obviously still be stuck without a keeper. So yeah, you would have to use an outfield player. So absolutely no problem in that. You just change your shirt or get a brand new shirt these days. Probably in the old days, you'd probably have to wear the shirt of the goalkeeper who's gone off injured or whatever. You used to have to pull it on. Take it off the guy who's coming, the keeper off the keeper who was injured. Literally take his. I actually did it myself, even at my level. Obviously, I was a sort of goalkeeper and an outfield player. So when I was playing outfield, occasionally I did go in goal because the goalie got injured. So yeah, he just stuck his shirt on him, just hoping it wasn't too muddy and wet. That was the only thing. But even these days, say with the sub goalkeepers, it's still relatively rare for an outfield player to go in goal. But it's not that long ago. I mean, I'm fairly old. I remember that sub keepers, of course, were unheard of. You didn't have a substitute keeper. It's not overly long ago. We didn't have substitutes, but that was a bit before my time, in all fairness. But at least when I was going, we used to have at least one substitute. But obviously, it wasn't. It was never a goalkeeper. Of course, it wasn't. We couldn't afford to have a goalkeeper as substitute unless he was decent with the ball. I don't think it ever happened. I'll have to look into that. So, throughout history of football, not just City, of course, clubs have had to stick a striker, a midfielder, or a defender in net to sort of keep the game going. And not only, a lot of the time, these guys were heroes. Very, very. Even if they didn't have the greatest game, they were still a hero for taking that responsibility. So this little feature, I do as I look at some of those going back that did it for City. So we hope you enjoy that. So as I said, we're going to look at, of course, standing keepers, and we're going to sort of look at Mr. Nigel Gleghorn, which is who we're looking at. And we go back to the 1st of May, 1989. Yeah, so as I'm recording this, 33 years ago, a long, long time ago. We actually sat second in the second division then, with just 4 games left, so we're doing quite well. We were 13 points behind the obviously champions-elect Chelsea. At that stage, is already guaranteed winning the league, but we were actually 5 ahead of third place Watford, so quite close to promotion. But on the 1st of May 1989, we welcomed 4th place Crystal Palace to Main Road. I mean, they were themselves going for a playoff place or even an automatic promotion place, because if they won the actual game in hand on City, they were 6 points behind, so they could actually catch up and catch up that second spot, especially if they beat City in this game, of course, and then obviously won the game in hand. So it's a bit of a vital game, a real vital game for City in the push for promotion. It looked okay, but it looked fine, but it could all go wrong, of course. The goalkeeper that day was Mr. Andy Dibble. So he started the game in goal, but then a certain Nigel Gleghorn, who actually wore the number 11 shirt at the start of the game, he would actually be forced to replace him. Gleghorn actually scored as well, so even better. So not only was he asked to save goals, but he actually scored a goal, and it was his very first goal at Main Road. All his previous 9 had been scored away from home, so this was his 10th goal for City, and the first one he'd actually scored at home. He sort of bundled the ball over. It wasn't the classic goal by any means, but he bundled the ball over, and he'd been called upon, of course, the previous match in a game versus Walsall to replace also an injured Andy Dibble, and actually we drew that 1-3-3. But again, he got the plaudits and sort of man of the match for his brave display between the sticks against Walsall in the previous match. So we knew he was capable of doing it, and he's obviously he got that valuable point for City at the time. He didn't fancy him for the rest of the season in goal though, because he brought in a certain Paul Cooper. Was quickly brought in as cover for Andy Dibble. But as I said, it didn't make any difference for this game. Dibble was in goal. He got injured. And of course, Paul Cooper wouldn't have been allowed to be substitute. So again, we called on Mr. Nigel Gleghorn. So his goal after only 8 minutes versus Palace got set you off to a great start. But I said by half-time, that injury to Dibble led to Gleghorn swapping the sky blue shirt for a green one once again. And though the City fans, I was there that day, were a little bit apprehensive, we soon warmed to this effort, not just from Gleghorn, but the guys in front, the defenders, the midfielders, were all sort of coming back a little bit more to try and help the keeper and try and keep the goals out. And we fought a mainly rearguard action in that for most of that second half. Sadly, he would let a goal in. He wouldn't keep a clean sheet. Unfortunately, he couldn't do a Kyle Walker. We would ship a goal to Ian Wright. Yeah, a great goal as well. You can actually see that on YouTube. A great turn and a shot, and it sort of beat. And he even being beaten, he looked like a goalkeeper. Some players go in goal and don't look like a goalkeeper. Nigel Gleghorn sort of did. If you understand what I mean, if you see it, he actually had the stance and the dive, the dive, etc. It was sort of what you'd expect from a goalkeeper. So that was 1-1 on 75 minutes. Obviously, Palace pushed to get a winner, which would have been derailed a little bit of our promotion charge, of course. But we managed to keep it to 1-1. We didn't do anything up the other end because Mr. Gleghorn had got in goal, so he couldn't score again for us, could he? So we did hold on for a point. And a cool, calm Nigel Gleghorn was prominent in this match. Probably again was definitely the man of the match. Scored the goal and actually saved a few as well. So you can't ask more from that in such a vital, nervy promotion game. Asked about his calmness in goal. Yeah, he put it down apparently to being a regular basketball player, so he was used to using his hands. And he'd actually turned out for Durham under-19s cricket team as a wicketkeeper. And again, I can sort of quantify that. At cricket, I used to be a pretty good catcher of the ball, and I was a pretty okay goalkeeper as well. So the two are linked. And I did play wicketkeeper, but I wasn't averse to making some great catches as well. And it's just an instinct. It's just you have it or you don't have it. It's as simple as that. And of course, Mr. Gleghorn looks as though he had that ability, which was great. Of course, he would start again at number 11 for the next home game. That infamous, of course, 3-3 draw with Bournemouth. We were 3-0 up and cruising, and it all went typical City. And of course, that very nervy game, the promotion clinching nervy 1-1 draw at Bradford, where we just needed a point to make sure we'd get promoted in second spot. We switched back to Cooper for those two games, by the way. Mr. Paul Cooper stood in because Dibble was still injured. He didn't recover from that injury. Yeah, so Nigel Gleghorn wasn't called upon again by City to take on any goalkeeping duties because he literally lasted just 2 games of the 89-90 season back in Division 1 before being transferred very quickly to Birmingham City. He actually did score in his last game for City as well, but there you go. He was soon kicked out. No gratitude from City there. He actually played just 30 games and made 9 sub-appearances as well and scored 11 goals. So, yes, the only 1 goal he scored was that goal in that game at Main Road. All the other goals were away. He added another away goal the season after in his last game for City, but that was away from home. So, yeah, absolutely brilliant. Nigel Gleghorn, a goal scorer, a goal saver, not a bad standing keeper who obviously, in my mind, and I think many City fans' mind, performed above and beyond for our wonderful club. Yes, Nigel Gleghorn. Thanks for joining me, guys, for this little special feature. You need hands, of course you do. and you also need feet, and that's what he had. That's what he had. That's what he was good at. Good Nigel Gleghorn. All right? Not the most overly appreciated player for City in his brief time, but yeah, did a good job at least on a couple of occasions between the sticks for us. Thanks for watching. Have a good rest day. Have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your families. More important, let's all look after each other to meet here again on the Citizen channel. That's one thing, don't I? Please stay safe, Blues. Come on, City. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.